to the Women Podcaster Party. I'm your host, Julie Marty-Pearson, and I'm very happy to have some familiar faces as well as some new faces. So thank you so much for joining us. I always kick this off with everyone going around and doing a quick intro. That way, everybody gets to meet everyone. Feel free to drop links in the chat to your podcast or whatever you would like to share with us. The chat will be shared with everyone via email after as well. And we're going to do intros, and then we're going to jump into our featured speaker, who yesterday we had our first session. It was great. I'm ready for more note taking today. We were talking vision and goal setting, and a lot of that can be applied to podcasting, whether you're a host or a guest. And we will go around and introduce ourselves briefly, who you are, what you do. Do you have a podcast? Are you a guest? Are you a speaker? We always like to get a sense of who's in the room, especially for our speaker, so she can adjust her style depending on who's here. And I will start. For those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Julie Marty-Pearson. I am the creator and host of the Women's Podcaster Party networking community. I am a podcast host and guest. I have two podcasts. The first always explains my background. It's called The Story of My Pet, and it is all about advocating and educating around animal rescue, welfare, fostering, and adoption. And my second is Podcast Your Story, which is all about amplifying women's voices in podcasting. And in my business, I help women become awesome guests, start their own shows, or grow existing shows. So I'm very happy to have you all here. This is a space to just connect, to meet new people, maybe build some new collaborations, but also a space to learn. So no matter where you are in your podcasting journey, whether you haven't started in that area yet or have been here a while, this is just a space for us to share and grow and maybe ask the questions we don't feel safe asking in other Zoom rooms or in larger communities. So that is really what we're here for. And I am going to go next to our featured speaker, Julie DeLucca-Collins, so she can give you all a little brief intro. You'll hear much more from her in a few minutes.
Well, thank you, Julie. And it's so fun to
Oh,
be in a room full of Julies today. I
I
love
can't hear.
that. Can you
Can you
hear
guys
me?
hear her? I can't hear her.
You can hear me.
Where did
Okay.
my, what is
See, we were
happening?
just saying that, right? I told Julie, I don't know
Oh
how is
boy.
it that we end up being in one room and
Okay.
we can hear each other and then all of a sudden we can't. But Julie DeLuca Collins, I'm coming to you from the East Coast in beautiful Hartford, Connecticut. Is a beautiful day in New England. Originally grew up in Miami and New York, and now I live here in Connecticut. I moved here for love. I am the host of the Casa De Confidence and also the founder of Go Confidently Services and Casa de Confidence Productions. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I am delighted to be here. I met Julie through PodFest, where we were both part of the Pecha Kucha event, where we got to speak really fast in front of a lot of people in less than 60 slides, 5 minutes. I think it's what it is.
5 minutes. Yes, it
And
was.
today I'm talking about something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I am a planner. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. And really, this is the time in which I feel passionate that we can finish the year strong. This is our last sprint, and we can do it. And we can do it if we have the plan. So thank you for having me again, Julie.
Yes, thank you for being here. Okay, I'm going to go next to, I'm just going to go around the Zoom room. Valeska, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, happy to. Hi, I'm Valeska Bacon, and I have a podcast named Divorce Dividends, and I launched it in June. And I'm excited because I've already had 160 downloads, and people find me without being my friends or family. So who knew?
Yay!
So anyway, that's what's going on with me. Thanks.
I love that, Valeska. I love to hear that because I remember when I started my first podcast, people started listening. I was like, "What?" And then they started asking to be on it, and I'm like, "Huh?" It's such a it is a weird feeling, but it's also pretty cool. So I love hearing that. Okay, I will go next to Sarah.
Hi, thanks for hosting. My name's Sarah Mack. I'm from the UK, but I live in LA. And I've had my podcast, The Creative Magic Club, since 2020. So a long time. And I'm really focused on growing it. And my background is copywriting and money mindset for creative entrepreneurs. And in the last few years, I've really been bringing in a lot of astrology to help people find confidence in their unique gifts and story angles for their brand storytelling and for attracting compatible clients for their high ticket offers. So I talk a lot about money and content strategy, storytelling, and astrology on my podcast. And I've actually recently started repurposing over on Substack. I don't know if anyone else has been doing that, but I've noticed that even though I have a very, very tiny following, it's getting pretty decent traction and extra views, which is awesome. So yeah, super happy to connect. I'm very interested in interviewing other astrologers on my podcast at the moment. And I also would love to do some review swaps. Like if anybody wants me to leave a review on theirs, and they'll do that for mine, because that really helps us to grow. I'm trying to focus on spending time doing that too. So please let me know if you would like to collaborate.
Love that. Yes. Review swaps, episode swaps are such great ways to help fellow podcasters grow each other's shows, right? And I love your angle. You know, astrology is something I've always been into, but more recently, and I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense about the way I do things. and I love that idea of leaning into it in your branding and your marketing too. That's great.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here. And speaking of, if you're looking for guests, I'm going to drop in the chat some of my upcoming events. I am hosting on the 30th of this month, which, if you didn't already know, is International Podcast Day. And so I'm hosting my monthly pitch fest, which is something people get in my community, but I'm opening up to anyone who wants to come, whether you're a host looking for guests or a guest looking for pods to be on. Please check that out and feel free to share with anybody who might be interested in joining us. Okay, next in the Zoom room, I have Christina. Would you like to go?
Sure. Hi, I am Christina Campos. My podcast is Impactful Parenting Podcast. It's about helping parents of teenagers navigate the adolescent years. So lots of great experts come on, also just typical parents telling their stories, great variety of different kinds of all family related and like raising specifically school age children in the podcast. So thank you for being here.
I love that. I have lots of friends with teenagers and those areas, many friends with their first going off to college. I will definitely be sharing your podcast with them. The Pitch Fest link doesn't work. Thank you for letting me know. I will check into that during this hour and figure out why. Who knows? You know, technology, right? 1 minute something works and the next it doesn't. Thank you, Christina, for being here. And then, well, now we have 3 Julies in the room. Julie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sorry, I got lost in your link.
No.
Okay, so my name is Julie Marty-Pearson. I'm a healthy cooking coach. I do not have a podcast, but one of my goals is to be on people's podcasts, specifically health minded. I work with a product that allows people to cook in half the time with 3 times the nutrition without oils or water. And we do a lot of coaching, and we also keep those heavy metals and toxins out. So it's good for your gut health, reducing inflammation, things like that. I have a couple coworkers who were on a few health podcasts, and they were able to like reach so many more people. We go into people's homes and cook for them, or we also do virtuals online. And just I just want to share the information with as many people as possible and find out how I connect with people who have my audience, where I can give them what they're looking for and they can give me what I'm looking for. So,
love it. Such an important topic, especially for us women, being healthy and making it easier to be healthy, right?
Right. And that's really what me and my colleagues are all about. We want to make it easy to live a vibrant, healthy, long life with tons of energy and have you feel really good. So,
Absolutely. Love it. Well, welcome. I always say we love having guests because all of us podcasters need guests, right? So we love having lots of guests in this community as well. And let's see, last but not least, the School of Hard Knocks. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Darcy. I'm from Sutton, Wisconsin. I am actually brand new to podcasting. So I am under 2 months in with 109 followers, 455 views. I've used a lot of my knowledge from network marketing as a vehicle to get me to market my own podcast. But the School of Hard Knocks, my slogan is this is the place where we get unstuck from trauma and stuck in healing. So it's basically my stories of how I have gone through different parts of trauma in my life, as well as I have been interviewing quite a few people. It's unfortunate that so many people do have stories about traumatic things that they have gone through. But what I'm looking for is for people who have made it to the other side of that and they are stuck in healing so that we can promote that and show people that, no matter what it is you're going through, if it's childhood, if it's adulthood, if it's a previous relationship, toxicity, you're able to make it through it.
Love it. So much of us have been through things and don't realize how much it affects us later in life.
Mhm.
And I have found podcasting to be very healing, even for myself personally. I've talked about things I probably never thought I'd ever talk about, on a podcast that could be listened to by anybody. But I think it's such a connective space for us. But I really love sharing my story because you never know who needs to hear it, right? They may need to hear it so that they can get through whatever they're going through. So I love that. Sounds like an amazing podcast, and I'm so happy to have you here. I love having new faces every month. If you know anybody in the podcasting space or wants to get in it, please feel free to invite them. I will drop the link again, but I always try to have the next 2 months dates available. So if people can't come now, you can check out in October. We have Alicia Galati, who is in podcasting, and she has a podcast production agency, and she is going to talk to us about goal setting specifically for podcasters and really, really niche in on making your episodes convert for your business. And then in November, we're going to have a full hour of networking. So no speaker, it's just going to be breakout rooms and everybody getting to really interact and get to know each other. So very happy to have you all here. And again, very happy to have our featured speaker, Julie DeLucca-Collins, back with us. And as she mentioned earlier, her and I met in January at PodFest. And if you don't know what PodFest is or haven't ever gone, I highly recommend checking it out. It is not just a conference, it is a community of podcasters. They have monthly workshops called Pod Lab. They have a newsletter that's always sending out great resources and info. And then every year in January, they have an in-person conference. And it really is a great space for networking and learning and growing in podcasting. So I will grab that link while we're talking as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Julie. And one thing I didn't ask you to do yesterday, so this crowd will get a little piece, is maybe talk a little bit about how you got into podcasting before you talk more about your other piece of information for us.
Well, thank you again. I have to say, for me, podcasting, I just had this question earlier. I met with this dude who reached out to me via LinkedIn. And that was the first question. How'd you get into podcasting? And my reply to him is I got to podcasting when I was listening to podcasts in 2003, 2004. I lived in New York City and I had to do the reverse commute into New Jersey. And I love podcasting. Forever I wanted to have a podcast and I knew that I was going to do it, but I didn't know what I was going to talk about or when or how. And when I was in my corporate career, I worked for an educational company, two different educational companies, and I was part of the executive team. And one of the things that I kept trying to get the powers that be at both organizations is to start a podcast, because I thought this is such a great medium for us to put our content out there, connect with others. And I wanted to do it, right? But nope, could not convince anybody else. And lo and behold, I knew that eventually I was going to leave my corporate career. I didn't know what that was going to look like. And I'd been toying, but also scared. And I think that, some of you may be able to relate. In 2020, I got a little kick in the butt from the universe, and I was offered a separation package from the company that I was working with, because being in education, we were hit very hard. And I decided to go all in on launching my business, which I had already started to do. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. But one thing that I was really excited about, and Julie, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this way, but I was really super excited that I was turning 50 in April of 2020. And I thought, I can't wait. And I've been planning this big party for myself. And if anything, right, was going to get me through this 2-week lockdown was the fact that in April I was having this big party. And well, my husband saw the writing on the wall and he knew that that was not going to happen. And he knew that not only did he have a wife that's an extrovert in lockdown, this wife had lost the job of so many 20 some on years. And he thought, I got to do something because she's not having this party. So he said, hey, I ordered you podcasting equipment and you're starting a podcast. And I thought, which is, if you know me, you know, this is so silly, but I'm like, what? Me? I don't know what I would talk about. Right. So he's like, okay, I don't see that. And we started to, I'll never forget, he was in the living room watching TV and I'm about to go up the stairs and I'm like, I don't know what I would call it. I don't know if this is a good idea. And he's like, well, you know, your business is Go Confidently. And I said, well, I don't know, but it's not, I don't want to do a business podcast. And he's like, well, what do you want to talk about? I said, I don't know. And in our dining room, there is a sign that says Casa, which is home, De Collins. I'm DeLuca, he's Collins, and Casa De Collins, established 2012. And I thought, we're going to call it Casa De Confidence because it's kind of a play on Go Confidently and our last names because he said, don't worry about the tech. You do the talking and I'll do the tech. So I figured that it was also a partnership between the two of us. And I know that I probably could have figured out tech, but I am a firm believer, do what you do best and delegate the rest. And this is kind of how we started this new path. And we were incredibly fortunate that the podcast immediately, like our first couple episodes, we got like 3,000 downloads. And I didn't know that was good or bad, but I was like, oh, check it out. Right. And just great support. As I started to work with individuals and started to, in my first year of business, I transitioned from being an executive coach to a business coach and business strategist. A lot of my clients that either had or wanted a podcast would come to me and say, hey, can I borrow your husband? Can he help me? And I would say, oh, sure, you can borrow him, no problem. And then 2 years in, as we continued to grow and we continued to see success with the podcast, the one thing that sort of was a big light bulb moment for me was that, wait a minute. You have this podcast has become successful. And guess what? People are coming to become your clients from that podcast. So this is a lead generation for you. One. Number two, the other big aha moment that I had is like, wait a minute. My husband is not just helping a bunch of people with podcasts. My husband is actually producing a bunch of these podcasts and we are charging for them. This is another side business. This is another standalone business. So in the last couple of years, we really have made it into a complete entity within our business. And my husband is co-founder, co-host, because he does a little banter in the podcast with me in the beginning, but he is also my business partner. And we have over 15, about to be 18 shows again that we produce. And we're very proud of that, specifically because just like I started podcasting because I had this thing that like, I really want to talk about this. And I'm really passionate about confidence. I know that there's a lot of women out there that have stories that have some area of expertise in which they are really putting out into the universe this incredible knowledge. So we like to facilitate them doing that. So that's how I started podcasting and where I am. So how do I help people and why finishing the year strong is such a topic that I am passionate about is because as a business strategist, as a coach, when I first launched my business, I came from a 6-figure salary and replacing my 6-figure salary meant that I wasn't going to just haphazardly, show up and be a coach, right? I needed to run my business like a business. And what I find is that many individuals are not running their business like a business. Sometimes, even if we come from a corporate background, it's sort of this juggling act that we have to do. So what I really like to do is I like to create the systems that make it easier. Now, one of the things that you should know about me is that in addition to all these crazy things, I am obsessed with habits. I am someone who feels that habits are really the cornerstone in everything that we do, right? If you want to know a person and what they've achieved, you're going to know what their habits are, whether they've achieved or they haven't, right? Or maybe they are placed in their life. That's a direct result of what we do on an everyday basis. Now, I went ahead and I got certified as a tiny habits coach. And in everything that I do, it's not just about telling my clients, hey, this is how you run a business, or this is how you should plan for the end of the year. I also do it in a way that is intentional and really creating these habits that are sustainable. So today, what I want to talk to you is a little bit of the framework that I use with my clients when it comes to planning. Not only do I use it with my clients, but it's the framework that I use for myself. I typically go away to a little hotel lobby and I plan my week, my 12 weeks, or I plan my year, however it is. This past Friday, I did not go to a fancy hotel. I sat in my office here and I planned my next 12 weeks. And the reason that I plan is because when life happens, when you start lifing, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, what was I supposed to be doing? Where am I supposed to be? What was that? This ensures that you are able to come back and you're able to do it in a way that it's not overwhelming and it stays in a way that you're on track. So I'm sorry, he can't hear you, but my handsome hot husband needs to get to his desk. Go ahead.
Well, while he's doing that, I just thought before I forget, like I did yesterday, let's grab a photo while everyone's here. That way, if anyone has to sneak out early, we'll get you. And one of the things I do for this for is after the event, I will post this photo on social and I will tag everyone. And I find that's the quickest way for us to all connect on all the different places. So if everyone's ready, I'll give us a quick countdown and we'll grab a photo. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so now let me share a little bit of I'm going to share slides because this way, if and again, Julie has the slides. Anything that I share, it's available. If for some reason you can't find it or whatnot, always ask me if I talk about something that maybe I don't have here. But I love to share anything that I have that I found that works for me. I love to share it with other people. So, for a show of hands, I would like to know if anyone in this room knows specifically what are some of the things that they accomplished in the last 3 months. Give me a show of hands. Do you know what are some of the things that you've accomplished? Okay, awesome. I love it. How about Julie? Since I saw you and you're right in front center for me, what is one of the things that you accomplished?
This Julie. There's too many Julies in the room.
Well, whichever Julie wants to answer.
For me, podcast guesting was a big goal this year. And I, as of right now, have 20 episodes that have been published this year as a guest on other people's podcasts. So that was a big goal. But I've realized it kind of overshadowed some of my other goals I haven't done as much work on. But that's definitely one I set and have so far achieved.
Amazing. Well, I love that. And the reason that I start planning with a review and visioning is because it's sort of like the GPS, right? It is going to be more accurate to give you directions as to your destination if you know where you're starting from. And for me, I think that a lot of times, and when I talk about review, I'm reviewing, it says last year, but it really is, it could be last year, it could be last 3 months. The first thing is really understanding what we've accomplished. Many of us will say, oh, I didn't do this because our brain is programmed, right, to already go to the negative. And we're not going to give ourselves credit. So I want us to really be able to say, hey, good job, Julie. You set out to be on X amount of podcasts. You were focusing on that. And I can even venture to say for Julie Marty-Pearson that there's probably things that you think you're behind on that probably you're not. So this is a great opportunity for us to figure out how far along we are. And by the way, when maybe we are not where we want to be in certain areas, this is a great opportunity to recalibrate. But also, we're looking at this from a very neutral perspective. We're not here to beat ourselves up. It's just information. I often say, just like jumping in a scale is not there to punish you, it's just to say, okay, well, where am I? Right. And this helps you create a course of action for what you're going to eat if your scale is a little higher than it normally would be, right? Now, the other thing that is very important is not only seeing, what are your achievements, but I want you to think about what were the challenges? What were the things that you struggled with? Because a lot of times we might be going through something, maybe lifing, maybe scheduling, maybe health wise, and although we know, right, like I was struggling with XYZ, we don't really know and are able to create a plan for how to overcome that. So, again, what are our biggest challenges? I'll give you an example for me. And I hate to call it a challenge, but one of the things that life has happened to me is we moved in my 80 something year old mom to live with us. So, that's not necessarily a challenge, but it's definitely different, right? Whereas I had a lot of time. I could do most things. Now I have to actually schedule more and be more proactive and intentional with how I plan my days and my time because it's not just me or my husband that I'm dealing with, right? I have to feed my mom, make sure that her needs are fed, make sure that I hang out with her, right? So she doesn't feel like she's being neglected. So these are the things that understanding these things for your business, for your life is going to be incredibly helpful. And then I want you to think about what are, right, the things that in your business, what grew, right? In what ways did your business grow? Because it's not just about life, it's about actually what you're doing. Did you get new clients? Did you find maybe new partnerships? Maybe you launched something and that helped you get more visibility, right? So these are again are the things that I want you to bring to your awareness. And of course, business growth is great, but personal growth is even better. Did you grow personally? What did you find for yourself? And what areas did you blossom, right? And I want you to celebrate. Where are you celebrating yourself? How will you celebrate when you continue to grow and evolve and change? So these are the first things that I want you to look at. Anybody want to share a little bit of how they grew this past year? Okay, Sarah.
I can share. So I'm about to do IVF.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, I'm about to have our embryo put in me
Mm,
next week. So I feel like that has shifted a lot of my focus in my life and business. And
mhm,
yeah, typically in the past, I've been someone who's like super creative, has a ton of ideas, like wants to do them all. And over the past year, I've held the intention for a while to really like simplify and fine
mhm,
tune less projects and really have like more of a long-term strategy.
mhm,
And I feel like I've made a lot of like uncomfortable shifts around that. And I've really committed to that vision over the last
mhm.
few months, whereby I got rid of all of my offers except for my mastermind, my Cosmic Copy Mastermind, where I integrated a one-on-one tier. So that's my only high ticket offer that I'm promoting. And then I'd had on my to-do list to create a mini course that's like very low ticket that really gives people a good overview of my work and how I support them. And I finally created it and like started selling that. So that's
Ooh,
like my
amazing.
simplified business model. And yeah, it just feels good to like, follow through on
Mhm,
some bigger projects and really commit to that
amazing.
vision that I know is going to be very manageable, but also scalable
Mhm,
for me going forward, especially
yeah.
into motherhood.
Oh, amazing. Well, congratulations. And I'm going to send you all the good juju in the world in the next few weeks. And, this is such a special time, right? Because all of us have many different directions in which we're moving. But doesn't it feel great to simplify? Doesn't it feel great to really be able to bring to fruition something that we've been saying we're going to get? And really, one of the things that I hope is that when you walk away from today, if you're looking to simplify, if you're looking to really be focused, if you're looking to really be able to bring to fruition some of the things that you've been thinking and doing and planning, that you actually do it. And this is really one of the things that I do for my framework. Now, of course, if you have any questions as I go along, please, please, please feel free to add it here to the chat, and I will have my friend Julie monitor the chat and stop me if we need to answer a question. Now, what are you capable of, my friends? And again, where have you been at your best? This is something that we also don't measure. For us, in order to be able to plan and to finish the year strong, it's also incredibly crucial for us to see, hey, how do we operate best? I will tell you that for me, when I am working on a project that requires me to be in flow and requires me to really focus, right? If I'm writing a course or I just finished writing a chapter for a book and I'm working on another one, um, I can't do it first thing in the morning because my brain is sort of like, what am I doing today? I can't do it in the middle of the day because there's so many different things, and I'm shifting from either recording to working with clients or having some husband come in the door, right? I have to do it when I'm alone, right? So knowing when you're at your best is going to be one of the best ways in which you can actually get traction on your work. The other one is, what are your biggest accomplishments? One of the things that I talk to clients about, especially as they're planning, is I want them to look back and say, hey, where did your last 10 clients come from, right? The reason I ask that is because if you are planning on growing your clientele, growing your income, growing your podcast, it's important to know what's working. A lot of times, sometimes we'll say, oh my gosh, I better go and start advertising on Facebook, right? And yet, that's not where our clients are coming from. So I want you to know, right, what has worked, what has been the best for you so that you can replicate that success, right? Success is very easy to replicate. Now, here is the execution, right? Execution is key to success, and creating a strategy, right, for organizing things is going to make and it's going to save your time. All of us have different goals at different periods of time. So understanding, right, what is the right time for you to go in all this on this, right? Like Sarah, for instance, she finally put that course together. She finally deployed it. But she did it at a time that made sense, that worked, that she had everything in place to be able to do it. Now, when we create an action, my friends, you're going to get a result. And when you create inaction, it's also going to get you a result, right? So if you are too overwhelmed and you start tuning out, you're going to get a result that maybe you're not growing, you're not finishing the year as you want. So let's keep that in mind as we go. So now, when we begin to create goals, and this is not a goal setting workshop per se, but it's important to talk about these things, right? I want you to start with the end in mind. And this is a little bit of where I love to get the wisdom of my future self to tell me, how did she get to the things that she's doing that she loves and I want to get to, right? How many of you, by a show of hands, and if you want to give me your thumbs up, you can. How many of you have asked your future self, how did you get there? What did you do? How many of you use that concept? Sarah, okay. You guys can use your emojis in your Zoom if you're near your computer. Okay. Julie says a thumbs down. All right. I had a coach and a friend that taught me the concept of the future self. And of course, if you read, there is Dr. Benjamin Harding, he talks about the power of the future self as well. And really, this is something that really has worked for me. I talked a little bit about yesterday how in 2004, I made a list of the 50 things that I wanted to accomplish. And I wanted to say that I can do and I have done. And for many of those things since 2004, I've accomplished them, right? But I didn't accomplish them just because I'm awesome. I accomplished them because I asked future Julie 2.0, hey, Julie, how did you become a um, a yoga teacher, even though you're not practicing yoga today? Hey, Julie, how did you get to walk the Camino de Santiago? How did you get to start a business? So then that helps you to be able to come up with all of the different steps that can help you create that plan. Now, we can have a lot of vision and excitement for what our life can overall look like. However, what I want you to do is so that we do not have our mind going to overwhelm, is I want you to pick three. Three is a good number, is a manageable number. So pick maybe three goals for your year or for your quarter, for your next 90 days. I would be curious and I would love if you are in chat, you can also put this in chat. But how many of you know what your goals for 2025 are? How many of you can tell me what those goals are? Okay, Sarah, Julie. I don't know. Anybody else? Christina and Julie. Let's see it. Valeska. All right. So I'm not going to put anybody to, okay, Valeska, I see you now. Yes. Okay. So Valeska, tell me, what are some of the goals for 2025 that you have?
Sorry,
I can't
I
hear
was
you.
overwhelmed by the super thumbs up.
Oh, you're good.
I have set and forced a plan to move abroad, and I'm working through
Ooh,
that. That's been more complicated than I'd like it to be, but I'm
okay.
working to simplify it. So that's one of my goals. The second goal is I'm working on developing an app, and I would like to have that launched by the end of the year next year.
Mhm.
And then personally, it's about maintaining self-care. And it's a very basic goal. It doesn't have
Mhm.
the smart application to it yet, but
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing. And where are you moving abroad?
I'm hoping to move to Glasgow. And if not,
Ooh.
then if I have to move sooner, I will be moving to Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I love it
But
there.
it's no Glasgow.
Okay, I agree. I mean, listen, I love both places. So wherever you land, maybe I'll come visit. Amazing. The reason I come up with three goals, my friends, is because again, we want to make sure that as we create a master plan, as we create a system, as we create processes, we're not trying to do it all, right? We are going to life is still going to happen. Things are going to come that we didn't plan for. For instance, Valeska just said, right? That's a little harder than I anticipated, right? If she had a gazillion million other goals in addition to that, where would she be? She'd be in this overwhelm. She would have a lot of things. And again, when we focus on one thing and say yes to it, we are saying no to something else, right? So for that reason, we want to go ahead and keep it doable. Now, typically what I do is I have my clients come up with where is it that they are in all of these different areas and ask the question when it comes to planning for their business, where would they like to be with their income, product and services? What kind of marketing would they like to be doing? How are they developing their business and growing their brand? How are they, running their business operations? That's another place where it's really important. And when it comes to podcasting, right? If you're just a podcaster, not just, but if you're a podcaster, what are you talking about? What is your plan? How are you telling people about your podcast? How you are bringing guests? How you are maybe monetizing from your podcast? Are you getting clients from your podcast or are you getting sponsors? And of course, if you're juggling all of the things, it's going to be important for you to pour back into your cup in personal development. So look at all of these areas and look at that vision, right? What does that look like? And from there, decide, okay, well, I'm going to maybe increase my visibility for my podcast. So that means, right, like Julie said, I want to be in a guest on X amount of podcasts. Well, what is that going to take? I'm going to market those. I also, when I'm on a podcast, what I'm going to tell people that I do, where do I send them, right? Those are your products and services. How do you onboard people? How do you create income? All of these things are important to create a comprehensive picture overall. Everybody with me so far? All right. Any questions with that so far?
I guess I'm curious
Yeah.
what your perspective is on balance, because I know a lot of people are like, balance isn't really a thing. It's just, some things take priority during certain periods. So like, what's your philosophy around that and guidance around like, making sure that none of these things kind of like get left out?
I am so glad you talked about that. I think that, I am the type of person that when she was in her corporate career many years ago, I, said, balance, what is that? It's all go all in, burn the candle at both ends. And one of the things that I learned as I get older and as I, begin to shift priorities is that it's about, right? Not balance, but it's about blend and harmony. Are there going to be times in which you're going all in on one thing? So freaking lootly. I mean, there's times in which, for instance, in our business, I would like to say that I have harmony, blend. But if we have a brand new client starting, guess what's going to take priority and when we're investing a lot of time, right? But I love to say, work hard, play harder, right? Because you need that time. A couple weeks ago, I was in Key West and I had the time of my life. That's one of the things that I do. I go with my girlfriends for the weekend. I have another girls' weekend coming up. So there is that harmony. Now, balance, just like I said, if you're focusing on one thing, that means that you're saying, yes, I'm going to do this, then you're going to then say no to something else. But it doesn't mean that you're dropping the ball if you are aware of, right? It just means that you'll learn how to blend it in. I had a guest in my podcast the first year that I had a show, and subsequently we've become friends. And this is one of the favorite concepts that I learned. She's actually trademarked this phrase, intentional margin. Her name is Katie Jeffcoat. An intentional margin means, right? You have all the to-dos, all the to-dos, all the must get dones, but you first and foremost create that intentional margin. You go in and you decide, hey, when can I do this? Or how do I? For instance, one of the things that I've created with intentional margin for myself is I used to not work Friday afternoons. Guess what? I am in the transition now to Fridays. Maybe I'll take a meeting here and there, but Fridays are really just my day to recalibrate, to reconnect, especially now because I have more responsibilities. So Sarah, for me, it's not about the balance and it's more about the margin, but being intentional and knowing, right? And saying, hey, I'm going to need to stay up a couple nights this week because I have this deadline. But know that if that's the case, then you need to either give yourself the room to recalibrate or really get an accountability buddy that says, hey, Sarah, stop working. And sometimes I need those, right? My husband does that very well for me. I could be here and keep going because I love what I do, but find that person that is going to balance you out. And that's where the balance comes in. But overall, it's about the harmony. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. I'm
Yeah, go
curious
ahead.
if do you allocate, so yeah, you're like, oh, Friday afternoons, that's my me time. Do you do that with other recurring tasks in your business where you're like Monday mornings
Always.
I do bookkeeping, or do you just kind of like go
Mhm.
with the flow?
Yeah. So I will tell you, yes. The answer is yes. And if you had said to me maybe 15 years ago that I would be very oriented and organized that way, I would have said, "Oh my God, no way. That's boring. That's very hard. I want to be able to flow and go by the and fly by the seat of my pants." But the reality is that having a calendar, having something that is consistent, right? These consistent tasks, what happened is that it actually gives me more freedom. And there is so much freedom in being able to know when things are going to happen. The other reason why I do that is because when life happens, I don't have to think, right? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? What's going on today? And then all of a sudden, kind of jumping into the day and being reactive to the day. I know, oh, today's Tuesday. Okay. I have clients on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Oh, today's Wednesday afternoon and Thursday. I do recordings, right? Friday mornings, I may just go some and make sure that the financials and the billing is all done for the business. Mondays, I usually don't take meetings on Mondays. Mondays is an admin day for me, right? But all of that, it didn't happen overnight. I had to really practice. I really had to see. And there's once a month that I have a content creation day when it comes to that's when I'm doing my social media, when I'm putting together my topics, when I'm crafting that. Why? Because I don't want to have to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, what am I going to post on social media today? Oh, wait a minute. How am I going to, what email should I be sending to my people today? All of that is really crafted. I don't know if I have the training still up, but Julie, I'll share it with you. I have a training on your ideal calendar. And I don't know if any of you have heard the concept of the ideal calendar. I do use an ideal calendar, and that's part of what I use when planning. I go in and I look at what my ideal calendar looks like. Now, it doesn't necessarily that's what my week looks like, but that's what I'm shooting for, right? And that's what gives me that intentional margin as well.
I think that's such an important topic because, especially as women, we like to say yes and like to make things work for other people. And so I
Mhm.
know sometimes I set myself up to be like, oh, this time is for this and this time, but then it gets moved or it gets switched
Yeah.
because, and so I appreciate you saying it's a process of getting to being able to have that because you can't do it overnight because we are working
Mhm.
with clients and everybody's schedule is different, but we can be more intentional, especially even if you started at a month or 3 months of trying to set up your calendar that way because I hate it when I have time and then I'm like, well, what do I do? There's 10 things I could be doing right now. I don't even know where to start. That's not a good feeling either.
Mhm. No, absolutely. And I am going to hold on. Let me see. Make sure this is a shareable file. I'll put it here in the link. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. This is a copy of my ideal calendar, and interestingly enough, I did get this from Katie Jeffcoat, my friend Katie Jeffcoat. But if you can see, this is kind of what it looks like. You can see my screen, right? You can see the calendar. No, you can't because
No,
I only
it's still
share the
showing the
window.
slides.
Okay, hold on. Let me share it again. Do, do, do. So here it is. And just basically, one of the ways in which I do that, right? And when I go in and I say, okay, well, I get up around this time on a weekly basis, and then happens here. And then I will put in wake up, and then this is my morning routine here, right? Morning routine, and then this goes here, and then you can color code it, which I like. Now, you can get really fancy with this, my friends. You can also go in and add this to Google and make it in Google. I don't have time for that. I just want to have the basics, right? And
One of the things I do in
yeah.
Google is I just block out time, like podcast time or this time.
Mhm.
And I'm a color person. I have different colors for
too,
different
me too.
things,
Me too.
and
Yeah.
that helps me looking at it to know different pieces are for different things instead of just looking at all these events and having to really figure out what's what. But yeah,
100%. 100%. And I think that again, like I said, having the calendar gives me the flexibility, it gives me the freedom, and it's easier, right? Because I just recorded an episode on this. We apologize so much. Stop apologizing, people. I'm sorry, right? And then we're always saying yes when we really don't want to say yes. We really want to say no. Like, oh my God, that's one more thing, but I don't want to make you feel bad. And I don't want to feel bad that I said no to
right.
you. But if you have a calendar, it's so much easier to say, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. I typically have a meeting during that time. Is there another time? Right?
Yeah. I think
So
that's really
it makes
powerful,
it so
especially
much easier.
for
Right.
women. And it's
Mhm.
funny you said that because I had someone reach out to me about being a support for her with an event. And I thought,
Mhm.
well, I could use the extra money. I know she's not an easy person to deal with. And it was on a Sunday. And I initially
Mhm.
said yes. And then the next day I said, you know what? No, I'm not doing this to myself. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay for me to say no. I don't have to. And I think that is hard for us. And I think in business, there's always 10
Mhm.
things we could be working on. And even in
Right.
podcasting, well, I'm not on Substack. I need to do this more and I need my blog
Mhm.
updated. And there's always something. And I think scheduling and blocking time is a way that we can be intentional, but also give ourselves a little break and not always feeling like, where's that list of all the things I haven't done today or this week
Mhm.
or whatever.
Right. And to your point, and this is one of the things that I tend to tell clients is as entrepreneurs, we're never going to not have a good idea. We're going to be like, oh my God, that's so good. I should do that. And we're going to say, oh, she did that. I should try that. That sounds like a really good idea. I should be doing that, or that didn't work for them. And there's merit to that. But I want you to think about again, if you have a goal, right? So if my goal for the year, and similar to Julie, I wanted to, well, yes, be on a certain amount of podcasts, but also my goal was to really go all in on my YouTube channel, right? Why? Yes, I want to grow on YouTube, but also we have clients that I'm teaching YouTube to, so I better know it, right?
Right.
And what better way to do it than to do it myself? It would have been so easy to say, you know what? Oh my gosh, I should just go on and I need to do Substack. Yeah, I have a Substack. And every time I'm tempted, I'm like, oh, I really should learn how to do this. No, Julie, you shouldn't learn how to do this today because your goal has been that you're going to post 52 videos to YouTube minimum, right? So what does that mean? It means that I have to figure out what I want to talk about. I want to record the videos. I want to go ahead and script them, or do the research for the SEO, for the notes, for the email announcing the videos. There's so much, right? So this is and I know that we're getting to the end, so I'm going to just do a quick speed round, but you'll still get the concept, right? Um when what I do, and this is by year or by quarter, you're going to come up with your top 3 that you need to do. The top 3 goals, the top 3 things that you're working on. And then you want to go ahead and tell yourself, okay, well, what is it that if I want to be in YouTube and have a YouTube presence and upload 52 videos, because that's a specific action, specific goal, then what do you need to do? Like I just said, I need to research my topics. I need to create my thumbnails. I need to go ahead and create my titles for the videos, research the words and everything. So I want you to, and I use I use the posted, and I hate post-its, but I do it. When I come up with my top 3, I will write all the different things, right, that I need to do for that one task. Make the thumbnail. Okay. Create the thumbnail. Get a title. Um, get plan the videos out, script them and record all of that, right? And take the postcards or post-its and write out all of the things that you need to do, even as it, and bring it into the small manageable one task per post-it. And then that's going to help you organize what are the things, and then organize them by week. Sometimes we think we have to do it all. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, yeah, I was supposed to be recording. I didn't record last week or the week after. Okay. Well, that's because maybe you had all this other stuff to do. But if you break it into a smaller, manageable thing, you will see that it's not that crazy. And then the other thing, when you write down all these tasks, you can figure out who do you need support from. One of the things that I love to say is do what you do best and delegate the rest. Why? Because sometimes it creates more margin for you, right? So build that intentional margin. And like we talked about, where is your time off? That's the first thing that should go on your calendar if you want to finish the year strong. What are you doing to take care of yourself? Talk about, how long are your days? Are you sitting at your desk forever, or are you, kind of bouncing in and out with a haphazard, not having a schedule? Who are your people? What relationships are you working on? Who are your support system, your accountability buddies? All of that will help in this creation of the plan. And of course, the other thing, as you're creating your goals, the actions that you're going to take daily, weekly, monthly for these things, you want to go ahead and measure it, right? You want to have your key performance indicators. What are those? If you said you wanted to do 52 videos in a year, then that averages about 13 for the quarter, right? And that means that if I'm going to do 13, maybe I'm going to say in the first month, I'm going to record 3, right? And then measure, did I record the 3? So this way you will know specifically where you are with all of this. So this is an abbreviated version because we can go in so many different directions. But I have actually here for you some of my, not only this planning guide, but hold on, I have it here. Can you still see my screen? You see the glasses? Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the planning guide. Again, everything, as far as operations, how to measure it, everything that we've talked about is in here, how to create your goals. And then you can outline them here. I host a co-working space Mondays at 11 a.m. Anytime that you want to work on your plan or you need help, feel free to drop in. It's free, it's fun. We really double down on making sure that sometimes we're too scattered and we need to just have a space where we're going to come in and look at this, right? What is the theme for the month? Who do you need to be, right? The future self. Who do you need to be to do the things that you're setting out yourself to do, right? I tend to tell myself I am a girl who stays on task at least once a day, right? I am a girl who prioritizes the things that she's supposed to do, or I'm a girl who loves to serve her clients, right? These things will help to define your actions on an ongoing basis. So both of these things are available to you. I'm also I've gone through the 12-week year certification. So if you need help, I can help you and teach you how to do the 12-week year. That's the other plan that it's available in that QR code. And I have my information in the chat. So feel free, just shoot me a note, and anytime that you are looking to plan, come tell me what you're planning. I'd love to support you on it.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think, I'm a numbers person and I haven't been really setting numbers goals, but it makes a difference. Like when I started looking back at all my podcast guesting, I hadn't really set a goal, but now I realize I've kind of am doing 2 per month, or at least that's what it's adding up to at this point in the year. And I think there's a really powerful place in making a goal, even a small one, and say, I'm going to record 3 videos this month or 3 new episodes. Because then when we don't get there, then we can ask ourselves, why didn't we? Were we not making it a priority? Was there just too much other work we had to do? Because if you don't have a goal to start with, there's nothing to reflect back on. And I think that's such an important thing that we don't always do for ourselves. I know I'm really good at doing it for clients, but not great with myself. And there's always a new shiny object. Oh, Substack. Oh, YouTube. But we haven't finished what we already started. And I definitely see that with offers. I'm always like, well, this isn't going anywhere. Do I need to do a new offer? But then it's like I haven't really spent the time, figuring out why this one isn't moving. I think we jump to the next thing so easily because the world is so fast paced in that way that having goals is important so we can reflect back and figure out what we need to change or where we need to be focusing our time.
Absolutely, Julie. So good. So good.
Ugh. And I think podcasting is such an important thing to do this with because even like you said with YouTube, SEO, thumbnail, scripting, blah, 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 blah. There's so many pieces. And I always say, I'm not a YouTube expert. I have this magic AI that tells me the right SEO and but I still have to upload it the right way and do the right things and,
Mhm.
find the right experts to learn it from. So yeah, there's always just so much, but I think goal setting and planning and then reflecting back. And one thing I do want to say is when you started with looking at challenges, but also accomplishments, I think a
Mhm.
lot of us are in the mindset of goal setting having to be what we didn't do instead
Yeah.
of saying, well, what did we accomplish and allowing ourselves to be proud of that. I used to work in higher ed. So there was an easy way to measure. You were finishing classes, you were finishing degrees, and there's sometimes I get stuck and I have one friend that will say to me, he's like, Julie, you have a doctorate. Why are you acting like this is a hard thing? And I'm like, well, I was trying to like talk myself out of it. And it's like, right, I can do hard things. I just have to remind myself that it's a little different now, but it's the same, process that we all push ourselves
Mhm.
to get to that end point.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
So
I know
good.
several people had to leave, but anyone that is left, if you have any questions or comments you want to share, feel free to unmute or drop it in the chat. And I just want to thank Julie again for coming and sharing this. I think so many of us need this reminder kind of stop and really think through it instead of just bulldozing your way through day after day and then not really seeing what isn't being done, what needs to be done, or where do I think the 3-goal thing is really important because I think a lot of us have probably 10 goals going on at once
Yeah,
instead.
indeed.
And sometimes we have to really decide what are the priorities in our business, but then also what are our priorities in life because they have to also go together. And I love what Sarah said earlier about her getting rid of her offers and focusing on one thing because she knows she's about to enter this new stage of her personal life. She needed to simplify the business side.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think that that was a really, really great thing to do. And I think that sometimes we're afraid, right? To say, oh, I'm going to simplify because we're afraid that, oh, but if I simplify, will I still get enough clients? Will people want to
Right.
work with me? And, live in the knowledge that the people that need you and have a desire for what you offer will come to you. And it's actually going to give you the more bandwidth to be able to serve them and build from that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Julie. Thank you, everyone, for coming and whoever's listening to the recording. If you have a topic you would like us to cover here in the networking community, please let me know. I'm thinking through next year what we're going to talk about. Substack has come up a few times, so that might be a good subject for me to have someone come and talk on. And next week, we are doing another deep dive workshop with Amy Castro, and she is talking about the niche triad in terms of podcast guesting and speaking and how you find your niche in terms of being a speaker. So I'm excited for that. But if there's some topic you want to learn more on, please let me know because I'd love to be able to share that here for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So good. Valeska, one of the things that if you find it hard, definitely find a community. And again, there's so many different opportunities. Like I said, I do my planning on Mondays, 11 a.m. It's not so early for anybody in the West Coast, but come join us. And sometimes I get people that drop on just for the one day. They need that planning session and they move from it and then they can do it on their own. So
Okay. If you could have Julie add that to the social
yeah,
media post, maybe
you got it. You got
that
it.
would
I
be
will
great.
add it on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't want to spend $250 a session anymore for my coach for
Right.
Listen,
half an hour. And I'm like,
it's I think it sometimes that's the one thing, right? That we have to keep moving forward. And for me, I wish someone had done that for me. So that's typically why I do the things that I do because it's like, oh, I needed this. I'm sure somebody else needs this. So yeah.
Yeah.
well,
And
thank
I
you,
think that,
Julie's.
thank you. I think community is so important and every community gives you
Mhm.
something else. And Julie and I were talking about I just joined a community. She's a part of the Passionistas, which I'm
Mhm.
excited. I'm also a part of another community called the Feminist Podcaster Collective, which is a great
Ooh.
community. Becky Mellencamp runs that, and I've
Oh
learned
my
so
God, how
much being in that.
fun.
And, and I try to do it within my own membership community. I have co-working because sometimes you just need space on your calendar to get the things done, but also to have someone else there to bounce it off of, bounce
Mhm.
ideas or say, why is this not working? What do you think? Those are really important pieces for all of us.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, Julie, I'll give you that link so that people can, join if they want. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Thank you both.